So, hi everyone. Let's all, Edward before me told everybody got to jump up and make some noise. I'm like the other way around a little bit right now. I'm going to ask you all to like relax. Look at this relaxing picture of the waterfall. And can you turn the lights out a little bit? Just a little bit? Thank you. Yeah, come on, relax. People had a long flight and it's difficult and all that. You guys all relaxed? Relaxing. Awesome. Lights on. We're alert. We have just woken up in the middle of the night and we just see this. And like, what the hell is this crap? I don't know this. This doesn't tell me anything. So I'm going to investigate this a little bit. And what I find is an error that basically says this wasn't worth waking me up over. So, congratulations on successfully wasting my time. Now you can be loud again. And you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna quit this job. I'm Gil, and today I'm going to talk to you about monitoring that will make your engineers give up or quit. And this is my Twitter handle. And throughout this talk, it would be awesome if you guys just comment on anything that you see and you want to say something over. If you disagree with me, great. I want to hear what you disagree over. Then I can explain to you why you're wrong. Okay. A little bit about me. I currently have the privilege of working for a most excellent company called Gigaspaces, and we work on something called Cloudify, which is a cloud orchestration framework. In the past, I went to the Israel Institute of Technology for my bachelor's, and I worked at Get, which is a transportation on-demand company, Arkelis, which is fintech, and Spartism, which is pharmaceuticals. So many of you might be saying, you know what? Come on, like no way people actually leave their jobs because of the way they do on call, right? But you see that green part over there? Those are the people staying. The others, they've left their job for one reason or another, and it had some weight in what they did. And if you look at it later, then you see that, does it actually matter the way we handle these things? Definitely, people care about this. And it usually signifies bigger issues in the company. So those people leaving, they're costing you a whole lot of money because the cost of hiring an employee is between 1.5 and 3 times their monthly salary. And the reason for that is those employees are ramping up. They have the burden on other employees, which means somebody's training them. And usually the guys training them are those really, really strong experts that you'd rather have be doing something else. So what do we do? I've established there's a problem and there's an issue, so what can we do about it? So we're going to be splitting this into 3 parts. There's the easy stuff, the intermediate stuff, and the hard stuff. The easy stuff is stuff you can start doing now, which is usually policy changes, very little have to do with the actual technical stuff. So this is how we start out on call. We're pretty strong, motivated, and then we become this. And later this, and eventually this. And we kind of have to try to figure out why do we lose motivation so easily. So first of all, we're frustrated because we don't have the necessary tools to complete our tasks, which is the thing. Engineers, we love solving problems. This is what we were raised doing. And if we can't solve the problem at hand, we're pretty frustrated about it. If we feel our time is spent inefficiently, okay, you guys didn't get it. I'm wasting your time with an empty slide. If we're doing something repetitive, that could be scripted. Or if we're working alone on a problem. And you guys must have seen this somewhere. I think it was a joke about the European Union. Or if we're React shaving, just show hands. Does anybody here doesn't know what React shaving is? Awesome. Yak shaving basically means that you have to solve one problem in order to solve another. And this kind of has this daisy chain situation where to replace a light bulb, you end up having to change the oil of your car. which is majestically portrayed by the former Walter White. I don't really remember his name, but just from Breaking Bad, and Malcolm in the Middle. So another thing that we have a problem with is lack of sleep. Now this is amazing. This is actual research carried over in the EU Parliament, if I remember correctly. People who don't have enough sleep make horrible decisions. And this is giving an excuse to our politicians, but to some degree they're right. We are essentially causing a culture of lack of sleep, which causes people to make bad decisions. So here's one thing that you can do to solve this. So if your guys have been up all night and they've been solving a problem, make them stay home the next day and sleep it off. Why do you have this? So some of you may be saying, why do we have to have this mandatory? Why can't we just say, if you're tired, stay home and sleep? No, this is wrong. Because most people will show up the next day and they will do horrible work while being sleep deprived. And later, they will spend another day just fixing the work from the before. Another thing you can do is allocate weekly time to prevent or to resolve or automate stuff that keeps us up at night. And one of the cool things that they do with SimilarWeb is that the guys doing on-call that week, they don't do other tasks. The only thing that they do is work on stuff that makes their system operable more easily. Another thing you can do is wider rotation. Now, keep in mind that you can't always do this. Not all these solutions that I'm suggesting fit all the problems. Maybe you have a small team. Maybe something's not, you can't share it with everyone. But if you can, make the rotation as big as you can. And this is another thing. This is a great talk by a friend of mine called Sasha. She talks about what's called a single person failure. Now that single person failure is that one guy who's been around since the dawn of the company. He knows everything. He had a hand in each microservice. And that guy gets woken up more than everyone else, and he's the first one to leave. And you'll be in deep shit without him. So watch the talk, and remember, the single person of failure is not a bad person. It's we that suck. Another thing you can have, it's called knowledge matrix. Knowledge matrix basically says who knows about which part of your application. So later, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm Gil, by the way, and I have a problem with a mobile link, I don't necessarily have to wake up Karen because she did on-call last week. I can wake up Ari instead. But I wouldn't know this if I didn't have the knowledge matrix. And when you start scaling your team, that knowledge matrix becomes bigger. Another thing that you could do if you have teams in other countries is you could have what's called follow the sun, which is something that they do at Google. Meaning nobody has to actually work nights anymore because there's another team in a different time zone, which is pretty awesome. As I said before, you can't necessarily do that. But another thing that you can do, because some of us are night owls, I tend to be one, and maybe maybe I'm fine with solving problems at like 11 p.m., but I'm not cool with solving problems at 6 a.m. And of course, you have to have postmortems. Because if you didn't know what happened, what caused the problem last night, you'll definitely won't be able to solve it tomorrow night. So we're done with the easy stuff. Let's go to the intermediate stuff. Which means small changes to apps, logging, light automation. Now, one of the things that we have to put emphasis is we have to understand that monitoring is not just monitoring. It's logging, it's alerting, it's all these things which are heavily tied in together. So this is the alerting policy that comes with most products. And it usually tends to stay that way because of the power of defaults. And anybody knows what the power of defaults is? Yes? No? Show of hands? Yeah. So the power of default basically says that we have a hard time changing things because we have to make a decision to change them. So we need to have, so either you have reasonable defaults, which most people don't, or you have to just ignore the defaults and go with what's right for you. And this causes alert fatigue because we're alerting all the errors. Everybody's learning. Everybody here knows the story of the boy who cried wolf? So that's what you get. People tend to ignore the errors and they don't solve the real problems when they show up. And the basic premise of what you need to do is you need to alert on symptoms, not suspected causes. Meaning, there might be a problem with AWS right now is not a good reason to wake somebody up. Production is down, good reason to wake somebody up. Actionable, which means somebody can actually fix it. Meaning, for example, the world's about to end in 10 minutes. That's going to be bad for business. But there's no real reason to wake somebody up over. I just, I'd just sleep through it. And the third thing, it means it really, really breaks the business. Now, business breaking doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. For example, if you're Dropbox and you're having problem with data throughput, that's business breaking. But if you're a transportation on demand company and it takes people 2 more seconds to order a cab, not such a big issue. So this is something that you need to work out with your product people. This is not a strictly technical issue. Another thing people do is that they alert everyone. So the first solution for an alerting platform that I've seen is a WhatsApp group. So they have a WhatsApp group for all the developers in this company. And in the beginning, everybody's ultra responsive. And eventually you get tragedy of the commons, which means that people kind of ignore alerts. They put it on mute, they don't care anymore, because somebody else will solve the problem. So here's the thing, you don't need to alert everyone, just alert the right people. You need to teach your system to alert only the person who can fix the problem. 2 companies that are doing this as a service, by the way. I'm sure there are more, I just only know these 2. And so let's move on to logging. One of the things people do is that they log all the things. They put everything on debug mode, and the log becomes this huge chunk of stuff that you can never read through. And that's kind of a problem, because if you can't find any information, there's no way you're going to fix the problem. Or a better way, let's log a lot of success, because we like seeing the word success in the log. And we get that for every successful transaction. If you're a good company, you're getting a lot of successful transactions, which is nice, but it's not really useful for us. Or my personal favorite, let's log to dev null. And this is what your log looks like. There's nothing you can do over there, which is pretty much the same as logging to files on the machines. Can anybody tell me why? No? Okay. Yeah, the reason is because machines fail. Hosts are ephemeral. Meaning today, for example, if you're using Spot instances on AWS, you're constantly getting them removed, and you won't have the logs. So you won't be able to debug the problem later. So 2 companies that allow you to do this as a service, meaning that you put your data there, and it allows you to easily get access to the data later. And you can there are also a lot of stacks that you can do this on your own. You don't necessarily have to use these companies. But these are these faster solutions that you can get. So let's talk about the right things together. So this is how we measure engine strength today. Can anybody tell me why? Because the origin of the car was the horse and carriage. So if you had more horses, it would go faster. Which is, it's a nice idea, but I know I haven't ridden a horse to work recently, and I would love to know if somebody else has. So why do we measure engine strength like this? Seriously, this is totally useless. And it's really important for people to have the guys march straight, and I'm sure there are better ways to do this than measure the distance between their noses. I think this is a Singapore Navy, but don't. I just Google for it. I find it hilarious. Yes. So this is what Netflix does. We all like to copy Netflix. What they do is that they measure stream starts per second. How many people started playing a movie. And if suddenly this number pops up, it's like a step back. What happens when your media player doesn't work? You press play again, right? So this is if people press play more often, it means that something is wrong with the media player. So this is what Netflix does, which is pretty awesome. Come on, you're measuring this, and any slight anomaly means that something is wrong. So what are your KPIs? They can be stream starts if you're a company that does video on demand. It could be taxi orders if you're transportation on demand. It could be API calls if you're I don't know, Wix or something. It'll be on SlideShare later, directly after so you can take it later. So one company that's doing it as a service is Anodot, but I'm sure there are others. But you can do it yourself as well. There are a lot of stacks doing this right now. So let's say we worked stuff out and we have this. We already know what we want to. We already know what our common problems are. So what do we do? We build a diagnosis script the ultimate diagnosis technology. And because we have a diagnosis, and the next thing that we do is that we make a heal script, because if we know the problem and we can automate a solution, and then we can connect them, right? But this is what usually happens, because in between that doctor diagnosis and doctor solution, there is a bit of human thinking. And a great example is a patchwork that I did once. I had a problem with the REST queuing solution on Ruby that had a memory leak. Maybe some of you have used or familiar with that. So what I did was I just created a Jenkins job that would just go to all the machines at night and reboot them. Pretty awesome, right? But what happens if there's another problem and you just create a reboot stone for no reason? So here are the basics. You make a remediation script, you make a diagnosis script, and you connect them. And you have to make this a very, very smart thing. Otherwise you get this. I love Gene Wilder. So one company that's doing that is Facebook. There's there's a link at the bottom. They created this, what's called a Facebook auto remediation thing, FBAR. And this is what their production engineers do. They don't wake up at night to reboot servers, and they don't wake up at night to run scripts. They develop scripts that would stay up at night for them. And this wouldn't be right without a shameless plug. This is where I work. I work on Cloudify. And one of the things that we have as a mechanism inside our product is called healed workflows. Now, it doesn't work out of the box. You still need to put in some work for it. But what a heal workflow does is basically fix certain things that are automatable. And we teach our clients how to do this. They connect to Riemann, which is part of the product, which is an event processor. And that way you can have things that basically run automatically and fix your infrastructure, and you don't need to wake up at night. So let's go to the hard stuff. Years. We need to design for better operability. This is like the long-term stuff, the stuff that's like the companies doing stuff at scale do. So why do we even care about this? We already solved a problem before. We're not waking up for any reason. This is what's called the resilient architecture. This is, the 5 nines? Anybody here working in telecom? No? Okay, one guy. So if you're in telecom, you're familiar with the 5 nines. It means you only get 5 minutes of downtime per year. Now, I don't know about you, but the time it takes me to get an alert, run to my laptop, and open it is significantly larger than 5 minutes. So there's no chance in hell I'll actually solve the problem. Which means I need my infrastructure to solve the problem itself in things that I might not be able to predict. So here's one example of planning for one of the basic things that you can do that has planning for failure. Amazon autoscaling, which is like the most simple thing that I think they learned this in like the beginner DevOps course that they do. So for those of you who are not familiar, it's a pretty basic idea. You put a health check on the load balancer, and you have these machines that pop up as they fail. Meaning one machine fails, another pops up in its place. An availability zone fails. All the machines just pop up in other availability zones, which means that you don't have to worry about machines failing, even if it's an infrastructure as a service that you're renting from. This is a great article it's on ACM, and it's basically the difference between different types of organizations and how to make an organization that actually benefits from failure. And I personally love the demonstration, the separation here between resilient and anti-fragile. So, for example, let's take what's better, 2 50-pound guys or one 100-pound guy? The 100-pound guy, he's resilient. There's less likelihood of him, being knocked out. But those 2 small 50-pound guys, one of them will be knocked out, and the other one will take out the assailant. So that's where the Hydra, cut one head off, 2 shall pop in its place. And one company that's been doing this for a while is Netflix. They have what's called Simian Army, which is pretty awesome. Let's see, what's more time? Ooh, I have lots of time. Yes, I get to babble on today. So what the Simian Army does is that it wreaks havoc throughout their infrastructure. And this is running right now in production. And they know that this is costing to some extent with their efficiency. But it means that when they do come across a problem, they know how to fix it. And because it's happening in production, there's none of that, it worked on my machine, or it worked in the lab scenario. So as you can see, I copied a whole bunch of stuff from a whole bunch of people. And this is my mantra: bad artist copy, great artist steal. This is my email. This is my Twitter account. I would love to hear anything that you have to say about the talk. This is actually just turned out a lot shorter than I expected. Mostly because you guys didn't ask any questions. But that's about it. I would love to hear questions if you have them. Yes?
If you were to choose like one thing that is the best from the list, like one of the easy things, you gave a couple of things, but one thing to start with.
Well, let's go back. What do you mean? And what do you mean? The things to start from?
Yeah, the easy bit. I want to change one thing right now.
This is the first thing, duct tape. And the reason is because it's so darn easy. If you're a production engineer, you have the scripts already. You already wrote all the stuff down. And here's the thing. While you're developing, while you're trying to solve the problem, all you need to do is copy-paste those shell commands in the Sublime window. And when you're done, you have the script. Now, it's not 100% there, but it's halfway there. And the next time that you have this available time to do something, that's when you take that script and you make it part of the toolkit that a production engineer has to fix problems. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much.